Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Destiny video. Today we're starting our videos going into the locations in the Awakening set. First location we have here is the Command Center on Lothal. And the effect is each opponent discards the top two cards of their deck. Obviously, mill decks are going to want to be running this location. I ran this location in my Padme Akbar mill deck. I've seen it run in um, Elite Jabba single Vader mill decks. But one thing with this is it has the potential to get used against you, and you might end up milling yourself out because, like, let's say your opponent claims it, you mill too. If you're playing against a very aggressive deck that is claiming the battlefield fairly often, you may end up running out of cards due to your own location. So that's something to consider when using the command center. Another thing you can use with the command center, and I used it with my Akbar and Padme deck, was Outpost. So the special on Outpost lets you resolve the effect of the battlefield as if you claimed it. So you can roll the special on Outpost, resolve that special, and get the effect of whatever the battlefield is. So if it's this, you could potentially get multiple uses out of this battlefield in one round. So if I rolled that, I get to mill two cards, and then if I am able to also claim the battlefield, I can get them to mill two more cards. However, the potential of it being used against you is fairly high, especially if you're playing against very aggressive decks that roll out a lot of damage, resolve everything very quickly, and then claim the battlefield, so you're still going to be milling two cards. So that's the command center. We're going to move into our next location. Next up, we have Echo Base on Hoth, and the effect of claiming is give a character one shield. So this is a location that, even if your opponent claims it, it's not going to do a lot of damage to you, really. The only thing you might want to have is if you're running Rey and Qui-Gon. I run a Rey and Qui-Gon deck, and this is the location that I use with it. If you're playing against Rey and Qui-Gon, it could potentially do damage because you can get a shield from the location from Echo Base, give it to Qui-Gon, and before he gets that shield, you can take a shield out that he already had off to deal one damage. So you can get potentially damage from this if you're playing against Rey and Qui-Gon. Otherwise, I think it's a fairly tame battlefield. This might actually even go well with something like Kylo and Vader, the new upcoming Vader from Spirit of Rebellion. So you claim the battlefield, you get a shield on Vader. That'll give him one protection from his own ability. His own ability does 3 damage to a character, and then he also does 1 damage to himself. So this might not be a bad location to actually run in a Kylo Vader deck. Other good locations to run with that would be the Emperor's Throne Room, because you have a lot of dice that have a lot of special sides, so you can get a lot of specials resolved that way as well. But the Echo Base is I think, fairly safe. You might be taking damage from Qui-Gon if he happens to claim the battlefield and he uses his ability. Other than that, it's a fairly safe battlefield. We're going to move into our next location. Next up, we have the Emperor's Throne Room from the second Death Star. The claim is turn one of your dice to a side showing a special, then you may resolve that die. So this goes well in decks that have a ton of dice that have specials, and it essentially lets you basically, you may have a die on a blank, you claim the battlefield, turn it to a special side, and use that special. So even if you roll badly initially, you can leave some of your dice in the pool, and if you can't resolve it, you can still maybe get that special to go off with the Emperor's Throne Room. This is a key card in the Hyperloop deck, because what they'll do is roll out the Falcon. If it doesn't roll the special, they'll just claim the battlefield and resolve the special on the Falcon, which will allow them to play their hyperspace jump from their hand or discard pile for free, and then the round will end. It's also really good if you have like very powerful specials like Kylo or Mind Probe. You can leave your Mind Probe in the pool. When you claim the battlefield, you can still get the effect of the Mind Probe special and deal damage to a character equal to the number of cards in their hand, or Kylo special, where he gets to pick a card out and see it. You can also potentially win a game. Let's say the thermal detonator out, and both your opponent's characters have 3 health left. Can claim the battlefield, have the thermal detonator go off. You still discard it, but each of your opponents takes that damage from the detonator, and that would end the game. So that's the Emperor's Throne Room. We're going to move into our next location. All right, next we have Frozen Waste from Starkiller Base. This is an exclusive card to the starter set. It comes in the Kylo Ren starter. The claim is once you claim it, you can remove a character die. So I really don't think this battlefield is that great. Let's say, like especially if you claim it and your opponent has no dice in their pool, you're not really going to be able to use the effect of it. The so basically you want to claim it when your opponent still has a character die sitting in their dice pool. You claim it, and then that character die gets removed. One note: it's only character dice. It's not upgrade or ability dice. So you can only, like, let's say they have Rey out, and she's got a force throw and one of her dice still in the pool. You can only remove the Rey die. You're not going to be able to remove the force throw die. But you also potentially remove stuff that they can resolve against you. Like, let's say they had, like I said, the two dice in their pool. Let's say they had Rey on her modified damage side and the force throw special. By claiming this, you'll be able to remove the die that they may have thrown at you with force throw. So there is some use to it. However, I don't think it's a particularly useful battlefield. I think there's other battlefields in the game that serve the game a little bit better, depending on what your strategy is. If your strategy is dice removal, this might work, but I think there's just better locations out there. So that's the Frozen Waste. We're going to move into our final location for this video. The final location we're going to look at in today's video is the Imperial Armory from the Death Star. The claim is play an upgrade from your hand, decreasing its cost by 1. One interesting thing about this location, if you're playing it in either blue hero or blue villain, and you're running It Binds All Things, you can actually decrease the cost of something by 2. So let's say you have a Mind Probe, you can claim the battlefield, reduce the Mind Probe's cost by 1, so now it's down to 3, and then you can also exhaust It Binds All Things, decreasing it again, so now a 4-cost upgrade costs you 2. So it works well with, let's say, you just have a 2-resource costed thing as well, like a Holdout Blaster. A Holdout Blaster is probably not the best thing to play with this, because after you claim it, you're not going to be able to use the ambush action out of it, but you would get a Holdout Blaster on somebody for 1 resource, potentially. But I like combining it with It Binds All Things, because you decrease the cost with the location by claiming it. You also decrease the cost with It Binds All Things. And then you get more resources in the next turn. So let's say you can get a resource or an upgrade out at the end of the round, and then you get 2 more resources in the next round. You can potentially get not 2 upgrades in the same round, but the end of the round you get an upgrade, and then you can pay 2 more resources to play another upgrade at the beginning of the next turn, and since you claim the battlefield, you'll be going first anyway. So that's going to do it for today's video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back with the other 5 locations. I think there's 10 locations in the game between the booster packs and starter sets. So we're going to be covering those in a video tomorrow. Until then, I want to thank you for watching, and take care.